I confess I'm a mess and I'm just trying to figure life out. Can't believe what you see in this world, it'll feed your doubt. And I've tried on my own, but we weren't meant to do it alone. So come with me, together we'll get free. I confess I'm broken, but I found someone who's making me whole. And what if honesty could be the key? I confess I'm desperate, looking for a place to call home. And if honesty with me could be my key, then with truth I'll lead. And if honesty with me will be my key, then with truth I'll lead. Welcome to the couch.
Hey Saints and friends, welcome back to the couch. Super jazzed that you decided to join me for another episode of Couch Confessions with your girl, Adria Gladney. And if you haven't hit that button, yes, the subscribe one, go ahead and do that. And also like and share if you're watching me on YouTube. And if you're watching me on Apple or, whatever other platform you like to listen to your podcast on, you stream away. Today I'm going to start with something that I'm going to call postpod reflections, because I had like a reflection moment after the last episode when I was talking about, willing to be wrong and not being afraid to get it wrong. I was at work, not long after the episode aired, and I don't remember exactly the scenario or the situation. I just remember it feeling like I had done something wrong, or like you never have a feeling where you're like, no, I'm sure I did that, but somebody's asking you about it and you can't remember like in that moment whether you gave it to them or not, or like did whatever it was or not. It was something to that effect. And it ended up that I gave her or did whatever I was supposed to do. But in that moment, when we were trying to figure it out, I was like, I think I was getting anxious. I don't know. Basically, what I realized is in my body, I could feel that I was like anxious or like triggered or just emotional and I was like, this isn't that big of a deal. Like, why am I emotional? And it made me think like, because I think I did something wrong, or because like, not really even that we might have lost whatever it was. I'm sure we like to say there's no HR emergency because everything usually is fixable. So like we probably could have found whatever it was if I really had lost it. So probably it wasn't even so much about maybe I did something wrong. But again, like we talked about last week, that what does that mean about me? Like, what's people's perception of me? Like the whole conflating this or making a big jump from like this small instance to what that belief is. So yeah, I realized that and I was like, that's kind of funny because I literally was just talking about this the other day. But I did appreciate, at least from that moment, that, at least I recognized that okay, in my body, I feel like something's off. And then I was curious about why that is. I was getting props from my therapist the other day about, me being curious and not judging my feelings, and how I've come a long way in that. And, that was another good example of that. So clock the T. The girl is growing, maybe just a little bit. But yeah, that's my postpod reflection from the last episode. And there's been a lot of that. There's been a lot of reflecting lately. I mean, I think that's just indicative of the time of year that we're in. We're at the end of the road, Saints and friends. And it's been a time. I was telling my friend the other day, it feels like it's been the longest, fastest year ever. And when I say that I feel like we have like I've lived 10 lives in this one year. It feels like so much has happened over the course of this year, but also it feels like it happened very quickly. Like it still feels like everything flew by. But when I think about all that has happened in this year, I'm like, like somebody said something the other day and I was like, no, that was 2023. And they were like, no, that was 2024. I was like, there's literally no way. Like it's kind of wild. It's kind of insane. And you know, I feel like although a lot has happened, it's been up and down and good and bad. But I think that this year has really provided a lot of moments to grow. And I think the person that I have been like expecting myself to be, I'm like starting to see her. And that's a beautiful thing. Like even again, when I was talking to my therapist the other day and like her telling me about my growth moments, which it's so hard for like to sit and listen to hear people say like, oh, you're doing such a good job, because I don't know how to acknowledge that. But it was nice to hear that I have, you know, grown, that other people can see my growth. So, you know, this year has been all in all not bad. But as we get to the end of it, you know, it's getting a little interesting. And I feel like my old self and my new self, the person I'm becoming, I feel like they're having a heavyweight boxing match. I mean, like seriously, they're duking it out to see who's coming out alive at the end of 2024. Like that's really what it gives. And I really, you know, I think that old me, she really has hands. Like she feels like she's gaining a little strength in this last little bit of this year. And new me, she's fighting for her dear life. I mean, she's giving it all she has. But I'm realizing she's not strong enough. And at first that makes me feel a lot of shame, because like, come on, girl. We gotta beat this. But then I realized maybe she's not supposed to be strong enough, and maybe instead of me bullying her to get her weight up, I should just lean on the one who is my strength. You know, maybe that would be a better alternative, because that's what he's there for. So yeah, it's really wild. And I think the reason why I am struggling to lean into that and to trust his strength and to like be okay in my weakness, I think I'm struggling to do that because I'm so full of fear that new me will not win. Like I'm afraid. And I'm really trying not to be. I'm not trying to be afraid. You know, God has not given us a spirit of fear. I'm trying, but I'm afraid, terrified, scared. Like it's really, that's what it is. And I think I have shame about being afraid, especially like as a Christian, because, you know, it feels like a lot of times having fear is the exact opposite of faith, or means that you have a lack of faith. And although like I know that the two can exist and people say do it afraid, and like I do believe in some way fear and faith can exist, and I also think and believe that all emotions, including fear, are helpful and necessary emotions because they inform us. And like just naturally, like if something's charging towards me and my fear meter is negative, I don't have fear, then I'm gonna get eaten by a lion. So like I think if fear is a helpful emotion, I think just in a spiritual sense, it's not ours to own. And so like, what do we do with fear when it comes? And like, how do we quickly move to faith or to something else? Like, and yeah, like that's the space. Like, how do we move from faith to fear? And I'm asking the question. I don't have the answer to the question because, you know, we're still figuring it out, but I have some speculations as to how maybe we can get there. And we can just chat about it together. And I think the first thing is to just remember where it comes from. Like 2 Timothy 1:7 says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power of love and a sound mind. And we like say that verse a lot. Powerful verse, you know, all the things. Paul's talking to Timothy, telling him to, you know, fan the flame, stir up the gift of God, and to not be afraid to have courage, because God's not giving us a spirit of fear. He's giving us power, love, and time. But I think the thing that strikes me about that is God has not given us. So like, it's not mine. It doesn't belong to me. I don't have to live with it. I don't have to own it. It doesn't have to like take residence. I don't have to accept it. And in doing that, maybe I have more energy to focus on grasping or how to grasp the other things he has given us: power, love, sound mind. I don't have to accept that. And remembering that when it comes, it doesn't necessarily, like, you don't have to feel shame for it. Just remember, like, oh no, God didn't give me this, so I'm going to give it back. Actually, I don't return to sender. Don't want it. And then focus on how to, really take hold of those other things and to like walk in power, walk in love. And the other thing I think helps with that transition from faith to fear is accepting and walking in the perfect love of God. 1 John 4:17 talks about how perfect love casts out fear. And God, he is love, and that's where that perfect love comes from. And so I think, accepting the truth of that and like really grasping grace and salvation and like just his love for us and what he did for us to bring us back to him, and what he continues to do to sanctify us so that we can see him. And, because he's God, nothing that he does fails. So like, he will complete his work in us. But like, how do we stay clung to the fact that like, that is a promise and like, that is his love. And like making sure that that's like sealed in our heart so that when things do come up or fears, arise, that love keeps us anchored. And then walking in that perfect love, right? Like, if we have his love, then what does that reflect? How does our life reflect that? Being in obedience to him. If you love me, you obey. Loving one another as he loves. Sacrificing and like having that agape kind of love. Those are the things that like also display that perfect love. And so focusing our energy on trying to accept first and then walk out that love. If you're doing that and you're in that perfect love, fear cannot exist. That's what it says. That's the truth. That's the principle. And so maybe the way to access that is just leaning all the way into that perfect love. Those are my main two theories. I'm sure that along the way I'll learn some more. Because like I said, still afraid. Still afraid. And maybe that doesn't go away. I don't know. I mean, we're going to be human until we, die. So I don't know that fear or negative emotions for that matter won't afflict me, or afflict is strong. I won't experience, like, who's to say? I probably will be afraid of something forever. I mean, maybe different things at different moments at different times, but fear probably will always come up, is my point. I said that in so many words for no reason, but you get it. Maybe it'll never go away. And so maybe it's about like perfecting the skill of leaning on him, and for perfecting the skill of telling fear what to do or putting it out because returning to sender, like maybe it's about perfecting that. And maybe like that's what working out your salvation is, like, until you see him, like just working on these things. And so not that fear won't happen, but that its effect won't derail me from walking in his, the places and the spaces that I'm supposed to be. So yeah, I don't know. This is going to be an interesting, how many more weeks do we have? 2.5 weeks in the year. And I will report back on which one comes out alive. I'm believing by faith that Numi, she is going to really start getting her licks back in a few more moments. I mean, my girl, she's a little pummeled right now, but she's going to get up in just a few seconds. Oh. I mean, they're going to do that countdown. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even know, or do they count backwards? I don't know. I don't watch boxing and wrestling, none of that stuff. But they're going to do that thing like they're about to do the ding, ding, ding with the bell. She's going to get back up before the clock runs out, okay? She's going to get back up and then she's going to knock old me down. I mean, timber. So yeah, so we're believing that by faith. It's not looking too great, but y'all believe with me now that new me will emerge. And then it's like, wow, what is that going to be like in 2025? I can already start seeing whispers of what it's going to be like. And let me tell you, as much as I am nervous, I'm also excited. Who says it? Tamar Raxton, she says nerves guided. And that's really how I feel. I'm nerves guided because don't get me wrong, I'm afraid. But also some of the little things that are already happening, it's going to be a great time. I suspect it's going to be a hard time for some other reasons. But it's going to be a great one, I think, as well. Anyways, yeah, I think it's going to be a time. And yeah, wow. I saw something, Joshua Giles, he was talking about it's reaping season and how 2025 will be the year where people reap what they have sown. And so like we'll see a myriad of experiences and highs and lows and whatever, and it will be because of what you have sown. And I don't know, I think I trust my seed. I think I trust my seed. And maybe that's something I can hold on to know that new me, she's winning. Because I trust my seed. I trust my seed, and I trust the one who can multiply it. So, yeah. I think actually this is going to be good. That just made me very optimistic. Yeah, guys, I don't know. This is probably short and sweet today, but that's all I have. You know, I hope that everyone has a marvelous holiday. I know sometimes it can be hard and people have different life experiences. And as we grow up, I mean, Christmas is just, it's interesting the more you grow up. And you just, I think I have found myself having to redefine why Christmas is my favorite holiday. And maybe not so much redefine it, but fill in the blank spaces with new memories and traditions and experiences that still feel reminiscent of what it used to be. I think that, yeah, I think that sums it up. So I get it. It gets sketchy the older we get, but I hope that, you know, everyone's able to enjoy and relax and rest and prepare for the new year and reflect and look back on all the things. So yeah, I will see you guys in 2025. Obviously, Christmas is Christmas next Wednesday? Oh my gosh. I think so, right? Yeah. Christmas is next Wednesday, and then, you know, it's New Year's. So I will see you guys on the new year, and it's going to be a grand time. I can't wait to update you on who made it out alive. Love y'all. Bye.